America great again.
What kind of a country do we want to have?
The truth of my life disproves their lie.
I think climate change is real.
I think we need to be able to have that policy debate.
As we count down to the first Republican primary debate, the Washington Examiner is looking at where presidential hopefuls stand on key issues. In this episode, we look at where the candidates stand on education. Donald Trump says he'd go after schools that have previously pushed woke policies.
Our public schools have been taken over by the radical left maniacs. First, we will cut federal funding for any school or program pushing critical race theory, gender ideology, or other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content. Next, I will direct the Department of Justice and Education to open civil rights investigations into any school district that has engaged in race-based discrimination.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has some of the most well-known views on education, given how much reform he's overseen in his state. He banned the teaching of sensitive gender content to younger grades and has been defending new curriculum standards in Florida. He also signed a school choice bill into law this year.
The state of Florida is number one when it comes to education freedom and education choice.
DeSantis has also pushed reforms to weaken teachers' unions by stopping the unions from automatically taking their dues out of teacher paychecks.
People do have a right to join it, but I think what we found is teachers are given like a blanket authorization form. They don't know how much money is being taken out, and they're basically probably just sign it, you got to sign it, you got to sign it. And we don't think that that's necessarily informed consent. So now you're in a situation where people can say, okay, they get their paycheck. If they want to then take a check and write that to the union, they have every right to do it, but they'll be doing it with eyes wide open, and they'll know exactly how much money they're talking about.
Tech entrepreneur VIVEK Ramaswamy would go a step further, shutting down the Department of Education altogether.
If you can't beat the teachers' unions, we're going to avoid them. Now, if I'm running the federal government, we're actually going to solve that problem, too. Another thing we're going to do is to shut down the toxic U.S. Department of Education that actually is poisoning local schools.
South Carolina Senator Tim Scott also wants to take on the teachers' unions, and he says he'd do that by expanding school choice.
I believe that we must have school choice in this nation in order for us to take the power from the teachers' unions. We've got to break the back of the teachers' unions, which means destroying the monopoly they have over our kids, which requires us to have school choice.
And Nikki Haley has pushed school choice as an answer to liberal policies in schools. She's also defended what DeSantis has done in Florida.
You've got all this woke ideology that left the universities and now is in the elementary schools. You've got critical race theory, where if you've got a 5-year-old girl going into kindergarten, if she's white, you're telling her she's bad. And if she's brown or black, you're telling her she'll never be good enough and she'll always be a victim. That's abusive. And then you had the whole country up in arms because of a Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, right? Which basically just said, you don't need to talk about gender before 3rd grade. Well, I don't even think that goes far enough.
With education a top concern of voters, where the candidates stand on schools will remain a key factor in the race. Sarah Bedford for the Washington Examiner.